Hi, welcome to this quick tutorial. The purpose of this video is to teach you as quickly as possible how to become full-stack web developer for MERN. As you can see in this tutorial, we will use Mongoose, Express, React, and Axios libraries. I will assume that you have already installed VS Code and Node.js. If you didn't, please check the links in the video description. Open your VS Code and navigate to your folder, where you will store your project files by going to Open Folder. I called my folder TODO, and now inside of this folder I will create my Backend folder and also Frontend. Now open your terminal and change directory to that Backend folder. cd Backend. Initialize our project. Node package manager, init. Just press enter for all those settings. It's fine, they're default. Install packages. Express and Mongoose. Just wait for the installation to finish. Now we can start by adding our first script, app.js. That will be our server. Close terminal, and I would like to here use word import. And in order to use that word, we have to set the type to module. Import Express from Express and import Mongoose. Let's define our port for the server. It will be something like 7777. Initialize our Express. And use it to listen on port that we have defined. Also define a callback function that will inform us that our server is running. Now we have to connect our MongoDB database with our Mongoose. So we have to call mongoose.connect, and here we have to pass the connection link to our database. That link we will find in our MongoDB cloud. You can create an account on this page, mongodb.com. And when you log in, you'll have here your database, and you can connect to application, and they'll give you a link that you will pass to your Mongoose as connection link. So pass it here, and here you'll type your password. I put here a callback function that will inform me that my database is connected. I forgot to put my app in my backend folder. It was outside. Now let's run the app. Node app.js. Server has started and database is connected. Each time we save the code, we have to run this node app.js like we did now. In order to avoid that, we could install NodeMon. That is a library that will rerun our code each time we save the file. So let's open new terminal. Make sure that you are in a folder called Backend, because there we want to install it, and run npm install NodeMon. Here in package.json we can now see NodeMon. Let's add new script under script called start, and give it value of NodeMon app.js. And now every time we run npm start, this line of code will run, and NodeMon will always rerun our code on each save. So let's run npm start, and here it is, NodeMon app.js. Oh, we have a little error that call that 777 is already in use, because we have run it here already. So let's exit from this, go back to this node.js and run here npm start. As you can see, everything worked fine. Let's add some schema for our database that we will use to store our files. So we will go with the variable called TODO schema, and we will call now mongoose dot schema, and here we will define our data that we will store in our database. So we'll have title, the type of that title will be string, and require will be true. So we have to pass the title in order to store. Next variable will be is completed, and type for that will be boolean, and default value for that will be false. And under that we will call a variable TODO model. We will make model from this schema that we will use later on for our roots. Call TODO, pass the schema, and type the name of our database. I'll call it to dozer. Oh, to dozer. Save it. And now let's add our roots with express. So type here some little comment called roots, and first root we'll create will be get. So pass the link to our local host. It will be a sync middleware, and pass here a function to it. We'll use try catch. So here we'll catch the error and try variable const TODOs await. We'll use our model TODO and find all our TODOs. This curly bracket is used for searching the whole database. And here we'll simply pass console.log that error, And that's basically it. Next route we'll make is our post post. So the route will be to do. There will be a sync middleware here, and the function will be try catch, and inside try we will call to do variable that we'll call new to do model, and our arguments will be title, request body, title. So we need to pass this request body title that is required, and after it we have to save this new to do in our database. So I'll call this variable save to do await to do.save, and now this new to do will be saved in our database to do.save. And for the error we'll simply call console.log that error, save it, and one more route will be delete. So that route will be to do slash, and the ID, our param will be ID. Pass the async middleware response, and in this method we'll also use try catch, and here will be simply logging our error to our console, and we will try to pass the model, and this model have a function find by ID and delete, the method for deleting in our Mongoose, and we will pass the param that we have in our link here, and we'll simply respond with, let's say, status 200 JSON and to do. And the backend is basically done. So let's test it with Postman. If you don't have this software, please install it. It's free and it's very useful. So let's call our first route. So let's post something to our database. Call it localhost. Our port is 777. To do request row JSON. I'll put this JSON here. It's title, and my title will be first to do, and send. It is taking very long to send it. I'm going to check my database. Did I receive anything in my database? Browse collection. And I see here TODO, but there ain't any records yet. I'm going to respond here with status 200 and JSON save TODO. As you can see, we got an error. It said cannot read properties of undefined reading title. That is because we didn't add the JSON parser middleware. So add here app use express.json, and let me try again to send this to our database, and now we see our response. And if we go to our database and refresh the page, we can see our first record in our database. Okay, let's try now the get method. We have here post, and we will create a new collection here for our requests. Let's call it TODO and add request http TODO. This will be post. I'll just save it for later use, like we have it quoted. Title, new title. Instead of text, use JSON, and I'll save it as my post. Let's add get, duplicate this one, rename it to get, change the method to get, TODOs, save it, and now we have get request saved in our TODO. And if I send, I'm getting an error. Unexpected token. None. Oh, we have here instead of TODOs, TODOs. So let's respond with status of 200 and send JSON of TODO. Send again, and now we have our TODO in our database. If we add another one and now get it again, we have 2 TODOs. Let's now check our delete route. So the path is TODO, and after it we are passing param of the ID. So we want to delete this first TODO. I'll copy the ID of the first TODO and pass it as a param in our path. I'll change this method to delete. I'll save it as delete in TODO. Now I have it here. So send, and I have a respond with first TODO. So if we go to get and get all to-dos, we get only one to-do because we have delete the first to-do. And now let's create a front end. Add new terminal, navigate to directory frontend and npx install it react app. Create react app dot. That means that we will install it in current directory. Wait until installation is complete. And be careful, instead of the npm network package manager, use npx, because npx is for installing React. This might take more time than usual. Okay, our installation is done. Let's also install Axios by npm, not package manager. Okay, let's start our application. npm start. And here is our front-end application. In the app.js file, we will delete all this inside of this application. I can also divide this screen into two. I will create here a new section for our input. We will wrap it in a div. So wrap this input in this div. That will be our container for our input. Also, we'll add here a button for submit. Let's call it add. Under this, we'll create another section for our to-dos, and that will be to-do item. Will contain one paragraph. Let's call it to-do for now. Add button for delete. Add some class names. This will be our input section, and this will be our to-do section, where all our to-dos will be stored. Also add class for our input here. This will be called input field. Also add class name for our to-do. That will be called to-do item. Now let's go to our CSS. We will design our CSS, delete unnecessary fields that we won't use. We don't want those animation, but we will keep our app header. Underneath we will use that input section. Display it as a flex. justify content to center as it is, and the line items to center. Background color will be let's say this one, but we will change a little bit this color. Height will be, let's say, 10 vertical height, and width will be 100%. Okay, let's add to this section. Display it as flex box. Flex direction will be column, because we will have all our to-dos in a column. Justify content will be center. Align items also to center. Width will be 100%. Height will set also to 100%. Minimal height will be 90s. Vertical height, and background color will be set to, let's change this one to dark blue for say. Let's also add to do item. Display also flex box. Justify content, space between. Width will be 300 pixels. Height, let's say 50 pixels. Align items, the center. Background color, let's set it to some, let's say antique white. Border radius, let's say 20 pixels. Text color, let's say do not beige, black. Font size, let's say 15 pixels. And padding also. Padding 0 vertically and 20 horizontally. Let's correct that button. Let's set height to, say, 30 pixels. Width also to 30 pixels. Let's say 50 pixels instead. Background color red. Border radius to 10. And margin left, let's add 10 pixels. And let's also set button when we press it to give us some feedback. Background color, let's say this one. Okay, go back to our app.js. Let's show this to dull instead of delete. Delete this logo, we don't need it. We're going to import our use state from React. To make records of our input and store our to-dos. So add it here, like const, let's call it text, add text, and call useState. Default value will be empty string. So let's take this and call it here in the input field on change, and call this function. Take this arguments and pass it to store its value. Also, we will use one use state for storing our to-dos. And it will be equal use state empty array, because this array will be filled with objects. Let's add some functions now. First, we're going to make a function for getting data. It will be async method, and we have to import our Axios. Now I will call my to-dos by passing Axios, method will be get, and URL will be HTTP localhost 777 to-dos. Next, I'm going to pass this set to-dos function and add my to-dos.data to this list. Another function I'm going to add is post. So let's here add data and change this method to post. URL will be to do, and we are going also to pass our data. So the data will contain title, and we're going to pass our input record, which is stored in text variable here. Save it, and also we are going to add delete function. So let's call it delete method delete. We pass params. I need the tick signs, not those single quotes, for passing our variables. Let's type $, and our ID. And actually I'm going to call it delete data. Let's now filter down there our to-dos. We're going to pass our to-do variable and filter this data by ID. So if the item ID is equal ID, then return. So basically what we are doing here is we are deleting R2 from our database, and then we are filtering R2 from our local storage. Let's now pass our to-dos to our to-do section. Here, this is our item, and I'll pass here the whole map of to-dos that we have stored previously. So let's say to-dos dot map. This will call item. Let's add brackets for our JSX, and here I'm going to move this as the title. Pass our item dot title, and for the delete button, on click, let's pass our delete data function, and argument will be our item ID. Let's save it. And to our input button, let's pass on click event, and add here our add. Let's now test our application. So I could add some to-dos. Let's say clean house, add, and nothing happened. Let's see, do we have some errors? And we have an error for the course policy. That is the protection of our backend server. We have to add this library to our backend project so we can send requests from any address. Go to our backend terminal and install course, and then simply go to our app script of our backend, and at the beginning just pass this middleware, import course from course app.use course. Let's try again, add, and now we have another error. The thing is that we haven't properly saved after adding data. So I'll rename this to response, basically. Response, and in set to dos I have first pass an argument for my previous to dos, and then add that previous and response data. Let's try now, test, and here it is. Let's add another one, test2. Here is test2. Let's add test3, and we have test3. And if we refresh the page, our to-dos will be cleared. So we have to initialize our to-dos. So I'll add here use effect hook, and here at the beginning we'll add our function get date, and we just pass simply array, empty array. And if we say now, we can see all our to-dos are bound together. So let's go in CSS and to do item and add some margin to our vertical position, about 10 pixels. And if we now try to delete, let's test that. Delete this fast, and as you can see, it's gone. Delete new title, it's gone. Clean house, delete it all, and it's working. Let's try to test it again, and here is our to-do. And that's it for this video. I hope you like it. If you do, please click that like button and subscribe for more. If you need help with some errors, leave a comment down below or join my Discord server. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.